This morning, and sadly, it's no surprise. There were more carjackings in Chicago overnight.
When is this going to stop, Audrina?
It's horrible.
Yeah, this time the same offenders hit two separate drivers on the same block. CBS 2's Mugo Odigwe joins us live to tell us what police are saying so far this morning. Mugo.
Yeah, just a few days ago, we told you about 3 carjackings that happened just a few hours apart on the same night. Now we're talking about even more carjackings. So this is an issue that is not going away anytime soon. So here's what we know about the latest incident. The whole thing started around 11:38 in Edgewater near Broadway and Thorndale. Police say a man and his teenage son were in a blue Volvo when 4 guys in a black Honda noticed them. 2 of them got off the Honda with guns and approached the man and his son. They told the victims to get out and then drove off in the Volvo. Not long after, at a stop sign on the same block, police say the guys noticed a woman in a BMW. They got out of the Volvo they had just carjacked, pointed a gun at the woman, and then took off in her BMW along with the Honda they first arrived in. They left the Volvo behind. Luckily, none of the victims were hurt, but we've learned from police that the BMW was eventually found about 16 miles away, ditched in an alley on 18th and Avers. So right now, not a lot of description to go off of. But police say they believe these carjackers are likely teenagers. We've learned that's been the case in other carjackings as well. So far, no arrests. We're live in the loop. Mugo Odigwe, CBS 2 News.
He's just 14 years old and doesn't even have a license to drive, but Chicago police say he's connected to at least 10 carjackings and robberies over the last 6 months. An off-duty officer carjacked Tuesday night in North Kenwood is just the latest victim in a string of carjackings, robberies, and car thefts. Police linked to this 14-year-old boy. He was arrested after a brief chase. Yesterday in court, prosecutors laid out 5 felony counts. They explained he already had 11 juvenile court referrals and 6 pending cases, and he was on electronic monitoring.
We've got to craft proactive interventions to make sure that we are reaching these young people before they make a fatal decision that puts them on a path.
The pendulum's kind of got to be somewhere in the middle, and it's not just the criminal justice system that's the answer to this.
The teen is scheduled to be back in court Tuesday. Prosecutors also announced charges against 2 14-year-old girls accused of choking a man and forcing him out of his car in Lawndale earlier this week.
Yet another type of the coronavirus strain has been reported here in the U.S., and a number of health experts are worried. This new strain was first found in South Africa. Experts say not only is it more contagious, it's more resistant to the vaccines we currently have. 2 patients in different parts of South Carolina have been infected with it, even though neither has traveled recently or has any connection to each other.
The more uncontrolled spread of virus there is in this country or anywhere in the world, the more likely it is that strains will emerge and spread which are either more infectious or potentially even more lethal.
Both Moderna and Pfizer have already started working on booster shots against the variant identified in South Africa.
Some state lawmakers are asking the governor why Illinois is so slow at getting the COVID-19 vaccine out to people. They argue the state is 47th when it comes to overall distribution. Governor Pritzker responded yesterday saying the state is actively working on expanding its capabilities. Yesterday, more than 56,000 people got a COVID vaccine shot, setting a new one-day record. Almost 830,000 doses have been given out in total. That's out of the nearly 1.8 million doses Illinois was given. As the rollout continues, almost 4,200 new cases of COVID were reported yesterday, along with 103 more deaths. Wisconsin lawmakers have backed off of their plan to scrap their statewide mask mandate. For now, the Republican-controlled House was set to vote on the matter yesterday. The vote was called off last minute after lawmakers learned ending the mask mandate could also end the $49 million Wisconsin receives in federal food assistance for low-income residents.
The GameStop drama continues this morning. It's one of the top things trending online right now. You are taking a live look at your social media leaderboard from the live desk. So now we're actually learning that a Naperville man is suing Robinhood. That is the trading app that stopped traders from buying shares of GameStop. So let me give you some background here. Earlier this week, a group of small retail investors, they teamed up on Reddit. They started buying up shares of struggling stocks, including GameStop's. So the stocks then soared, but Robinhood put a temporary restriction on trading, and then the stocks fell again. The company said that it did that because of volatility, but the lawsuit claims Robinhood rigged the market against its own customers. So all of this has now led to a congressional hearing that is going to look into what's going on here. Robinhood says it is going to allow limited buys today and will continue to monitor the situation.
500 National Guard members from Illinois are heading to Washington, D.C. for a security mission. Governor Pritzker says they are going there to help secure the Capitol. They will be there until at least the middle of March. The soldiers will arrive next week along with a small group of Air and National Guard members from Illinois. This comes during heightened security concerns both at the U.S. Capitol and other capitals across the country.
A huge loss for the entertainment industry and the culture in general. 96-year-old Cicely Tyson has died. Tyson paved the way for black actresses on movie and TV screens. CBS's Chris Martinez takes a look at her remarkable career, which spanned 7 decades.
Cicely Tyson spent much of her career playing strong black women, overcoming struggles. She recently sat down with CBS This Morning's Gayle King.
Whenever I'm offered a script, what I'm interested in when I get it is why me. Who was that character and why did they want me to play it? And when I get to the point where I feel like her skin has fitted my arm or my mind, then I know there's something about her.
From a sharecropper's wife to former slave, Tyson embraced her roles with vigor and humility. Born in Harlem to West Indian immigrants in 1924, Tyson started her career as a model who transitioned into playing bit parts.
I was a very shy child. If you got 15 minutes of words out of me, you got plenty. You know, I was a thinker.
But her career was delayed until her 30s, when she found herself pregnant at 17 and in an unhappy marriage that only lasted 2 years.
What they doing, Mom?
Her breakthrough performance came in 1972 playing Rebecca, the wife of a Louisiana sharecropper in Sounder, a performance that won her an Oscar nomination.
I'm going on 10 years old.
She received widespread acclaim 2 years later with a versatile performance as former slave from the ages of 23 to 110 years old, and the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. That role came just as black women were beginning to get lead roles and earned Tyson 2 Emmys. The Kennedy Center honoree also won countless other awards, including a Tony and an honorary Oscar.
What you doing hiding out here, girl?
Tyson appeared in more than 100 roles on stage and screen in a career that spanned 7 decades. Her most recent was in 2020 in the Tyler Perry movie A Fall from Grace.
Don't make me go back there.
She said all of her roles were her favorites. Tyson was married twice. Her last marriage was to the late jazz icon Miles Davis. They divorced in 1989. President Obama awarded Tyson our nation's highest civilian honor, the Medal of Freedom, in 2016. Chris Martinez, CBS News.
Tyson told Gayle King that she wanted to be remembered as always doing her best. And Audrina, she certainly did that. Just one word comes to mind when I think of Cicely Tyson: queen. So regal, so graceful. And this one hit because one of the first movies I remember seeing as a kid was Sounder. And then, of course, when she played Kizzy in Roots. I mean, this was a cultural shift, just an incredible loss after so many legends and luminaries we've lost over the past year.
Yeah, I think that's a good word, Ryan, queen. I love seeing her act, but I also love hearing her speak with conviction and such faith.
What presence.
Yeah, what a legacy she leaves for so many. Well, he's made it over the hill and back a few times.
The secret to making it to 105 years old.
Woo, the Morning Insiders share wisdom from an impressive birthday boy in Country Club Hills. Take a peek inside his century of accomplishments during a special celebration.
4 Seasons, for all the right reasons. Call 866-4 Seasons. Keep your family healthy and your home comfortable with help from Menards. DuPont air filters help improve indoor air quality for up to 90 days, and they reduce household allergens. They're available in multiple sizes for only $3.99 each. Knauf Insulation is an affordable solution to help you save up to 15% on your heating costs. A 40-square-foot roll of Kraft paper-faced insulation is only $9.99. Now during Menards Home Improvement Sale.
Save big money at Menards.
Visit your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
This week at Darvin, we're rolling back prices. Back to the 1970s.
Through Monday, save 50 to 80% and pay no interest for 3 years.
Hey Mom, the Serta Perfect Sleeper or Beauty Rest Silver Queen mattress is the same price as a twin set.
The Luxe Suite King or Queen, it's a steal.
Plus, the box spring is free.
The calendar says 2021,
but Darvin says, welcome to the good old days.
Through Monday at Darvin.
Chicagoland, we are Sears Garage Doors. Family owned and operated since 2008. We'll repair or replace your garage door using the best American-made doors and Craftsman openers. A new garage door will increase the beauty and value of your home. Go to SearsGarageDoors.com. Call now and receive free windows or save $200 on a 2-car garage door. All repairs done wearing protective gear. Go to SearsGarageDoors.com.
As a digital partner, continuity is critical to our clients' success.
AmericanEagle.com provides end-to-end digital solutions. From website development to content development, digital marketing and hosting services. Partnering with their clients by delivering a complete digital program to help drive their business.
Is your digital partner delivering everything you need?
AmericanEagle.com, building your digital mindset.
You are here. And the weather you care about, the weather that affects you, is here too. But the weather here is going to affect you. And you need to know that. You need to be informed to be better prepared before what's here gets here. That's why our meteorologists are constantly analyzing and interpreting new information in real time so you can stay safe, protected, and happy here. Anytime, all the time, in real time. Real-time weather. Find it here.
More and more people are staying at home right now, and that is actually leading to more deadly crashes. This is according to a new study that was just released. I'm Yasmin Hassan at the Live Desk. I want to give you a live look out at our expressways right now. You can see very few drivers, cars on the road, which you would think would be good news, but that is not the case. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety and AAA got together to make this study happen, and they found that the rate of traffic deaths actually jumped in the first half of 2020. Safety experts think that people are speeding more because there's just less traffic out there. The study also found that even a small increase in speed can lead to deadlier outcomes. You might be able to survive a crash at 40 miles an hour, but not at 50.
A married couple turn business partners. As we continue working for Chicago through these really tough times, we're talking to a Chicago couple that turned their passion into a profit in the middle of the pandemic. Here are the real life bays behind Bay Coffee Company.
People said that you either get closer during quarantine or you get further apart. And you guys went a whole different way. You started a business together.
Right. Which in a way is kind of both, right?
There's a lot about this story you might be able to relate to. The marriage part and the pandemic part. Alicia worked in marketing while Devin, a chef, worked at a catering company.
They weren't able to hold on, so they ended up furloughing me.
My furlough happened, and I went from having, my next 3 months planned to nothing to do.
So they put pen to paper to come up with a new plan. Sketches, ideas, business plans, trying to find a way to make a living.
Coffee just kind of like rebloomed from that.
Coffee is how their story started 6 years ago at this coffee shop in River Forest.
There was just this cute chef with glasses and a beard who would come in and get like 8 shots of espresso over ice. And I was the girl at the counter.
They got married a few years and a lot of cups of coffee later. Oh, and Devin, he worked at a coffee shop back in the day too, and he was raised by a coffee connoisseur.
She would always say to me, life's too short for bad coffee.
Mom said that a lot.
I spent the last year of her life with her, but she was dying of cancer, and I was there to like take her to chemo and stuff.
She passed away from cancer during the pandemic and left some money for a rainy day.
With that beautiful blessing, able to kind of put ourselves through coffee school.
They started roasting and testing and roasting some more while looking for additional small business lending. And then, on the anniversary of the month they met at a coffee shop, they launched Bay Coffee Company in September.
Is the name Bay essentially because you're just doing it together?
Before all else, coffee.
And also we're real life bays.
Yep.
So
look at that. Okay.
Real life bays who got laid off together and are now in business together.
If you're working towards the same goal, it changes the way that you view each other too. And this symbiotic relationship of husband and wife.
Loving and brewing the best they can because, like Mom said, life is too short for bad coffee.
Well, Bay Coffee, it's super local. Alicia and Devin live and work on the north side of Chicago, and the roasting happens in Elmhurst. The packaging of the coffee happens here too, and it's all ethically sourced products, meaning they only work with companies that guarantee fair wages for their farmers. Ryan, this story really stood out to me because there's just so many things that work together here. It just seems like it was meant to be.
I mean, absolutely. You hit it on the head. I mean, if you could live together, work together, and run a business together, that is amazing. Hey, babe. I'm going to look for that and try it out.
Yeah, I'm really excited for them. I just think it's cool. Like you said, that's a lot to do together as a married couple, and they're making it work.
Yeah, cool beans, as they say.
All right, let's get a check of our weather with Tim.
And you're going to need some of that energy from that caffeine this weekend to do some shoveling. It looks like another snowstorm headed our way today. The calm before the storm, not quite as cold today. We'll see some sunshine, highs near 30, which is right around average. But watching for this weekend storm that could lay down some heavy snow, heavy wet snow in particular, with some gusty winds overnight Saturday. No Arctic air in sight. Nothing really terribly cold for us to deal with. That's the good news. Although it is chilly this morning, Waukegan, 5, but it's 18 degrees at O'Hare, 21 degrees in Midway, 9 degrees at Aurora. Not quite as cold this morning. Winds are calm, so the wind chill not much of an issue for us. This is an issue. We've got a winter storm watch going into effect 3 o'clock tomorrow till 6 o'clock Sunday evening for most areas. We're looking at the heaviest snow probably in the city along the lakeshore up through Lake County. We're going to get some lake effect enhancement overnight Saturday. Right now, though, just partly cloudy skies for us. The storm we're watching for the weekend way out here across Southern California. It's got a long ways to go, but it's becoming more likely now, it looks like, as the models start to come together in consensus that we're going to get some heavy wet snow out of this. Could get a little bit of a mix along and south of I-80, it looks like, at the initial startup of this storm late Saturday. But today, a mix of clouds and sun. Watch as the clouds fill in later on tonight, and watch as the snow arrives, looks like, towards tomorrow evening. Could be looking again some heavy wet snow. This is around 5 or 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, overnight into Sunday. How much snow? The GFS model suggesting around 3 to 6 inches. The European model suggesting around 4 to 9 inches or more. 30 for the high for us today, partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, again, we're looking at that snow developing towards sunset. 33 with snow likely on and off Sunday. Just a quick check of that European model. This is what it's suggesting, heavier amounts of snow compared to the one I just showed you, around 7 to 9 inches in total. So some heavy wet snow this weekend. We'll refine the forecast as we get closer to the event, guys.
Behind the scenes, behind the lines, inside the stories others won't tell. The Morning Insiders.
TGIF. Yeah, we made it another week, and so did the impressive gentleman you're about to meet, who's made it a whole lot of weeks.
Oh, yes. The Morning Insiders tag along to a birthday party that'll really give you that Friday feeling we need right now. Lauren Victory introduces us to one of the oldest people in Illinois.
Hello.
Hi, Dad.
Hey, Bruce.
Marcus, hello.
One by one.
Hello, how are you?
Ed Wilson's loved ones logged on. To them, he has a special nickname.
I think the story goes that I was the one who named Papu Papu. And maybe it was because I didn't know how to say anything else.
But Papu stuck for 9 grandchildren.
There she is.
13 great-grandkids like Jasmine and
Eddie's got 4 great-great-grandchildren.
generations earlier, Papu attended Tilden High School here in Chicago.
Also
an Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Inc. member since 1941.
In 1943, he married his loving wife Odessa and graduated Western Virginia State University with an industrial arts degree. The young Wilson worked for the Army Corps and eventually built biomedical parts for space exploration, which brings us to daughter Paula's favorite story.
Well, where are you going so fast? And he's trying to tell them, well, I have to go over to NASA because I have this component that the astronauts need in order to take off. And from then on, they gave him a police escort.
Papu is the sweetest person in the world.
I love you, and my fondest memory.
All this reminiscing because this manufacturing expert is about to crank out another milestone.
Recognizing Mr. Edward L. Wilson on the occasion of his 105th birthday.
Honored with a Country Club Hills proclamation plus the title of oldest living alpha. Ed is officially triple digits and then some.
The secret to making it to 105 years old is to have a lovely family.
Happy birthday
to you.
Now it all makes sense. Laura Victory, CBS 2 News.
His birthday is tomorrow, and his family plans to put a sign in the front yard and plant him in the front window for anybody who wants to drive by, give a honk or a wave, try to get a little bit of that 105-year long life rubbing off on you.
Oh, how about it? Give him whatever he wants. And can you feel the emotion, all the things, all the feels with that 105 years?
I know, and what was so cool is he said, we didn't hear much from him, but we heard something that was really important. He said the secret to 105 years is a good family.
Yeah.
So if we're blessed enough to have it, cherish them, hold them
Yes.
close, and love on them.